Have you been defamed online and are thinking about filing a lawsuit? Costs are typically a top concern that most people have questions about. At Minc Law, we've litigated hundreds of defamation lawsuits, so we know exactly what defamation cases cost. Keep watching if you'd like to learn exactly how much defamation cases cost and whether it's worth it to pursue your defamation claim in court. Hi, I'm Aaron Minc, attorney and founder of Minc Law, the nation's leading law firm for online defamation, harassment, and privacy issues. One of the most frustrating things about buying legal services is that it's really hard to get simple, straightforward answers from lawyers about costs. Now, in fairness to lawyers, buying legal services is not like buying a house or a car. Every legal matter is unique, and there are dozens of unpredictable factors that can greatly affect how much a case can cost. However, today, I'm going to break this mold, and I'm going to tell you exactly how much online defamation lawsuits typically cost based on our actual accounting data that we've accumulated litigating hundreds of defamation lawsuits over the past decade. I'm also going to talk about how defamation lawsuits work and other things that you need to know to decide whether it's worth it to sue. Well, let's jump in. First off, before getting to hard numbers, let's take a quick minute to talk about how lawsuits work. This is really important. If you don't understand how lawsuits work, talking about how much lawsuits cost is kind of a waste of time. Generally, lawsuits happen in 6 stages: the complaint, the answer, discovery, dispositive motions, trial, and appeals. At each stage, there are unpredictable factors that can greatly affect costs. For example, lawsuits start when the plaintiff files a complaint and then serves it on a defendant. The defendant then has to file an answer. However, at that time, they can also file a motion to try and get the entire case dismissed for procedural reasons, called a motion to dismiss. Whether a defendant files a motion to dismiss greatly affects costs. As another example, the next stage of a lawsuit is discovery. This is where parties request information and documents from each other. It's also when depositions taken and third-party subpoenas can happen. How much discovery you and the opposing party conduct greatly affects costs. At the end of discovery is the dispositive motion phase. This is where parties file motions, called motions for summary judgment, that request the court rule in their favor without the need to go to trial. Writing and responding to motions for summary judgment typically takes a lot of work. Whether these motions are filed, how complex they are, can definitely affect costs. Finally, there's trial and appeals. Both can be very expensive. The point being, the longer a case goes and the more contested the case becomes, the more expensive it's going to be. So figuring out how far a lawsuit may go and how hard the other side is going to defend helps a lot in figuring out what costs may be. In addition to factors that affect lawsuit costs more generally, there are also important factors unique to defamation cases that can also significantly affect costs. These include whether you know a defendant's identity, how much content is out there written about you online, and whether you're looking to collect large amounts of monetary damages. For example, something that can be a big deal in defamation cases is whether you know the identity of the person who's defaming or harassing you. If you don't, then you typically have to file what's called a John Doe lawsuit. This is where you sue an anonymous defendant, John Doe, and then discovery is conducted to try and figure out who the person is. This typically involves sending out subpoenas to websites and uncovering IP addresses. Sometimes discovery is relatively minor. Other times, it can be a major undertaking that has a big impact on costs. And if there's a lot of content posted online, this can definitely have an effect on costs as well. Another really big factor is whether you want large amounts of money as damages for your claims. This may sound strange to some people, but in most defamation cases we handle, our client's primary goal of their lawsuit usually isn't money. It's about getting the defamatory content out of their search results, stopping the harassment that's happening, and identifying the people who are responsible so that they stop harming our client or their business. Now, that doesn't mean that our clients don't get some monetary damages and settlements. They do. But what we find is that when the primary objective of a lawsuit is purely money, especially large amounts of money, these cases wind up taking more time and they wind up being a lot harder to resolve. So they cost more. So now that we've covered many of the factors that can cause costs in defamation cases to vary, let's talk hard numbers and answer the question of how much defamation lawsuits typically cost. So what we did was my firm went and we reviewed the accounting data of all the lawsuits we've ever filed. What we found is that on average, in most cases, lawsuits handled by our firm typically cost around $15,000 to $16,000. Now, as I said, that number is an average. Cases can definitely cost less or more based on the factors we just discussed. So it's important to understand what an average case looks like. Average cases usually involve situations where defamatory content is posted on no more than 2 to 3 websites. The defendant's identity is not known when we file the case. Money is not our client's primary objective, and the case is usually uncontested or settles pretty quickly once we figure out the other side's identity. Again, this is an average case. Any number of factors can make the cost higher or lower. I hope this information is useful. I'd appreciate it if you can leave a comment and let me know if it was. Whether you should sue someone for online defamation depends on the unique facts that comprise your case. How much a case costs in determining whether you have the budget to pursue a lawsuit is a really important question that you should always figure out first before getting started. But there are also many other factors that should be considered as well. It's really important to talk to an attorney experienced in the area of online defamation to decide if filing a lawsuit is right for you and your situation, to understand all the benefits and costs involved. The advice that I give most of my clients that are considering litigation is that the number one thing to focus on is whether you're going to stop the pain that the defamation or harassment is causing in your life by filing a lawsuit. That's it. If what's happening is causing you to lose money in your business, which it usually is whether you know it or not, is embarrassing and causing shame and distress in your personal life, is hurting relationships or affecting your friends and family, no amount of money can put a value on your peace of mind. Well, I'm all out of time for this video. I hope I was able to answer all your questions about the costs of online defamation lawsuits. If you still have questions or are considering filing a lawsuit and are looking for legal help, call us for a free consult at 216-373-7706 or head over to minclaw.com and submit a contact form. You can also check out the links to additional resources we've put below on our website that has answers to many of the questions people have about this topic. This is Aaron Minc from Minc Law. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.